It was a busy day for the Broncos front office yesterday. There was no blockbuster trades or huge signings, but there were several moves that were made that could have a big impact on the roster next season. So today, we're going to go through everything. Who got re-signed, what it means for the current depth chart, and why the Quinn Meinerz contract restructure was probably the most important move of the entire day. Welcome to 5280 Playbook. I'm Kason, bringing you football from a mile high. If you love the Denver Broncos or the NFL, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button down below so you don't miss the next video. Now the introduction's out of the way, let's talk some football. So here's a quick recap of everything that happened today. What we learned today for the Broncos was the Broncos re-signed Justin Strnad to a 3-year, $18 million contract with only $10 million guaranteed. That is a huge steal. Justin Strnad is a freaking beast, and we're going to go over more of that in just a minute. The Broncos have been talking to Alex Singleton's reps about possibly bringing him back to Denver. So that's a potential move that we could be seeing in the next day or so. Signed, sealed, and delivered, Adam Trautman is going to be a Bronco for the next 3 seasons. He got a contract worth $17 million with a max value of $18.5 and $9.5 million guaranteed. Now that's a steal if you ask me, but there was others who possibly disagree on that, and that's completely fine. We'll go over that in just a minute. The Broncos also signed Nate Adkins to a 1-year deal. This is more of a depth signing, but I'm also pretty happy with it. The Broncos restructured Quinn Meinerz' contract. This freed up $11 million in the cap space, and this could go into a big potential signing for free agency. And the Broncos also added Xavier Gooden to the coaching staff. The first bit of news we're going to go ahead and get into today is that the Broncos re-signing Justin Strnad to a 3-year, $18 million contract. This deal is a freaking steal. I was honestly so excited when I got the notification on my phone saying that Justin Strnad is going to be a Bronco for the next 3 years. This contract guarantees him $10 million, and he has the potential to possibly go into a starting role in the 2026 season. We all know that Justin Strnad has developed from a special teams player to one of the key players on our defense in just 2 seasons. Over the past 2 seasons, he's produced 131 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, and 7.5 sacks. This proves that he has a significant impact on the run defense of the Broncos. And most importantly, he stepped up when there was injuries going through the linebacker room. For instance, earlier in the season, we had Dre Greenlaw go down. Justin Strnad took up on that role and played absolutely outstanding through those games. He proved through that stretch that he could handle the full-time defensive role. And to me, I don't think this is just a depth signing. I think Justin's going to be a key piece of this defense in the coming years. And how could you not be excited about this? Strnad went from a special teams player to a legit starting linebacker in the league. And one of the most important aspects of this is the Broncos ownership rewarded him for that in paying him with that 3-year, $18 million deal. Honestly, it doesn't get better than this. But I don't want to just do all the talking right here. Let me go ahead and show you some of his footage. This dude is insane. He goes through and makes plays. He hits the defenders as hard as he can, forcing fumbles, and he's just that dude. He's not afraid to deliver a hit when it matters most. I don't know if you guys remember in the season when we were down to the Giants and we had that massive fourth quarter comeback. He was one of the dudes that got a pick 6 leading to the Broncos comeback. Justin Strnad is that dude, and he is going to be a problem for years to come. Another big signing was the Broncos re-signed Adam Trautman to a 3-year deal as well. To everyone's knowledge, we all know that Sean Payton loves Adam Trautman, and the good thing is he's back for years to come. But there are some critics out there that aren't really a big fan of this signing, and that's something that I want to address because I'm an Adam Trautman believer. So now let's address this issue. Adam Trautman played 57% of the snaps last season. 57% of the snaps. His production, however, was only 20 receptions for 195 yards and a touchdown, but I believe he could be a real key player in the new Davis-Webb system. And if you don't like this deal, let me just tell you about someone who also received a kind of similar contract last year, and that is John Bates. John Bates out of the Washington Commanders is known as one of the best pure blocking tight ends. So John Bates is considered one of the best pure blocking tight ends in the game. Bates got a 3-year and $21 million last offseason. However, I want to tell you something that's a little bit more important. John only played 44% of the snaps in the 2025 season. And as Mike Kliss mentions, Trautman is more versatile, has more catches, and plays a bit more than Bates. My friend Free Broncos posted this clip of Adam Trautman catching the ball along the sidelines, an important game against the Kansas City Chiefs, which we ultimately won. Personally, I'm a big fan of the Adam Trautman signing, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Though I will disagree that he's not the most flashy signing, he is an important part of Sean Payton's system. Now, this doesn't eliminate the possibility of the Broncos not going after a tight end in free agency or even the draft. I really think that the Broncos are going to continue to build on this position. However, we do still have Evan Ingram in the building who, though didn't have an amazing season by any means, in the preseason we saw a glimpse of him and we were all like, oh my gosh, this dude is going to be amazing. And that was when Davis-Webb was calling the plays. And guess who's going to be calling the plays next year? Davis-Webb. So there's a very good possibility that we have the tight end that we need. So don't be surprised if the Broncos go after another tight end. However, I'm not sure I would be disappointed if the Broncos just didn't go after a tight end at all and just try to run it back with Evan Ingram, Adam Trautman, and also Nate Adkins, who we know also got signed today to a 1-year contract. This isn't, again, a big flashy signing by any means, but it is a really good signing because he's also a very good blocker. To me, this shows that the Broncos are really trying to elevate that run game that we most desperately need. In my opinion, the most important move that the Broncos need to make is signing a running back. We all know what happened last year when J.K. Dobbins went down. R.J. Harvey was just not able to produce the same way J.K. Dobbins was. And that's no diss to R.J. Harvey at all. But in order to make a big splash like that, we need to be able to have room in our cap space to make a big splash, which is what I suspect this deal of restructuring Quinn Meinerz' contract really was. The Broncos restructured Quinn Meinerz, like I said earlier, freeing up $11 million in cap space. I think this money will be used to sign a running back. I really do. I really think we can go after Kenneth Walker with this money. I really think we can go after maybe even Travis Etienne, who's been linked to the Broncos as well. I think that's the most important position to address. We all know Meinerz is a Pro Bowl level guard and one of the best offensive linemen in the entire league. So restructuring his deal this way is to create cap flexibility without losing talent. And like I said earlier, this move is signaling that the Broncos are about to make a huge splash in free agency. This move is all about building around the roster and even giving Bo Nix even more weapons to work with in the next season. Other news is the Broncos re-signed Sam Ehlinger to a one-year extension with $2 million. Zach Stevens mentions that the Broncos have the same QB room as last year, which to me I think is very important. When you have the quarterbacks in the same room for 2 years, it builds a level of chemistry that most teams just do not have. This doesn't just add to the culture of the Denver Broncos, but also the leadership of the Broncos, as the quarterback is the one who leads the team. With free agency starting tomorrow, I wanted to mention some moves the Broncos should prioritize making, with the top priority obviously being the running back as mentioned earlier. The Broncos could either go after Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, or bringing J.K. Dobbins back for another year. Wide receiver is another position the Broncos could look to add on to. One to look out for is, of course, Romeo Doubs. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think we'll probably stay away from the Alec Pierce contract, as I just don't think we'll be able to afford that. However, it could be possible. But to me, a signing like Romeo Doubs is more reasonable. The Broncos could look to add an inside linebacker if we do not re-sign Alex Singleton. Devin Lloyd is a top-tier option for the team. However, his contract may be just asking a little bit too much for the Broncos to be able to afford. However, Tremaine Edmonds could be a potential target for the Broncos to add, as he was just released from the Bears. Something that seems to be building more momentum is replacing John Franklin Myers, and that is, of course, adding to the defensive line. Cam Jordan would be the one that I would look out for most. He obviously has history with Sean Payton back with the Saints, and Sean Payton loves Cameron Jordan. However, if Cameron Jordan isn't available, expect the Broncos to still go after a veteran defensive lineman. And lastly, the key in-house players to watch are Alex Singleton, J.K. Dobbins, and P.J. Locke. Alright, Broncos fans, that's all the latest moves, signings, and rumors for now. Free agency officially kicks off on Wednesday. However, the legal tampering period opens up tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So expect plenty of action later today, and I'll make sure to cover it. Who do you think the Broncos will target in free agency? Let me know down in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, tune in next time for football from a mile high. High five.